Hello, my creative collective. This is, I don't know why, finger guns. Hey, oh my gosh. Anyway, this is your daily creative reading for April 13th. Welcome. This is Into the Infinite. I'm Charlie, and I'm so glad that you're here. So, this week has been a really interesting week in terms of your hero's journey, my friends. I feel like we're on a healing journey, aren't we all? um, this week, though, has been really interesting because we've had, some manifesting energy come through. The sort of overarching thing is where this is all going, right? Where this healing is taking us and where this inner child healing is taking us. Um, healing the inner child is really about befriending the patterns that you're used to. And it's important to remember that that's not necessarily linear, nor is it, one and done. Like it's just forever. I think that the beautiful thing about being human and the most challenging is that we are always healing and evolving and changing. I read a quote, I can't remember who it was from. Oh gosh, it's escaped me. It was in an article and it said, I think it was Mandy Moore, who said something along the lines of like when you marry someone, and I think about this like not just in terms of marriage, but I think about it in terms of everyday life and who we interact with and who we have, as friends and what we do for work and all of that specific to creative energy. And that the quote said that when you marry someone, you're not committing to never change. You're evolving, right? Like because we think that will always be that person, but there's like a way that we change and shift through. And I think for me, the marriage part anchored it in this way that we relate to things, right? Like we assume that we'll never change. And this is the story that's kind of coming through this week. So before I blab on too much about it and turn this into an energy channeling, as opposed to tarot, I can do both, but I'm feeling just compelled to say that I feel like we're on a journey and this is really exciting. So I'm really grateful that you're here. So let's jump in, shall we? I would like to invite the angels, my guardian angels, my spirit guides, protectors, teachers, and their healing energy to this space, and I ask that it is a brave and safe space that allows for the fullest expression of our light, humanity, ascension, and healing. All right, as Matthew McConaughey would say, all right, all right, all right. Although he probably would say it less like that and more like himself. Um, this is the Hero's Journey Dream Oracle deck, so let's dive in. Spirit, what messages do you have for my wonderful creative collective for April 13th, please? And thank you very much. Very much. Okay, move these first. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Excellent. So we have Ally in Disguise, Discover the Heart to Find Blessing. And we also have Discover Your Superpower. Oh, access 100% of your mojo. I like that. Access 100% of you. Unlock your heart, my darlings. Ocean of Emotion. Why not? Oh, that one. Okay. All right. So that card just came flying out, so I'll read that momentarily. This is still staying here, don't worry. Ocean of Emotion. Find a safe place to express your true feelings. So it could be that there's something that you need to express truth about. And it doesn't mean necessarily that you've got to do like the whole like floodlighting vulnerability thing. Floodlighting is a term that Brene Brown uses to kind of, it's like when people overshare and vulnerability porn almost, where it's like you do it to overwhelm as opposed to like, you do it to overwhelm because you're seeking validation as opposed to sharing. So it's like, yeah, I've been looking that up in terms of like, as someone who has ADHD, I overshare a lot without intending to because I just get really excited. And it's really about understanding the effects. And I heard the word floodlighting and I was like, oh, that's a profound way of looking at it. So, nonetheless, not sharing in a safe space in terms of floodlighting, but that Holding Space book, right? The one from April 6th, the Alchemical Book Club. I'll put a card somewhere here about for it. But this is about really finding a safe place to express your true feelings. And something about vulnerability too is that we need to find space to express ourselves and to have space held for us, but in a way that honors the vulnerability and the step that we're taking to share 444 on the time. So I almost feel like it's going through these different stages, of things that unlock a different part of ourselves, right? So this ally in disguise card leads to the discover your superpower, which I feel like there's almost like this strikes me as Chiron related, like ally in disguise and then discover your superpower. Like this is almost like to me, it seems so very much related to Chiron energy. Like the unhealable wound and how we integrate that in our lives. That wisdom, the unhealable wound is the myth of Chiron in Greek mythology, and it is the arrow that struck Chiron's leg and the wound wouldn't heal. And that is how we view Chiron placements in charts. And the way I look at it is like it's not something that will ever really heal. I think it's something that we learn to make peace with and we make space for, and that we sort of transmute into something different throughout our lives. And something different meaning that we can give to other people, right? It becomes a medicine that we can put into the world. And then Ocean of Emotion transforms into you won the lottery, make room for wonderment, right? So it's like it's almost like these parts of you get unlocked with this work that you're doing. 555 was just on the time, which confirms for me that there is much change involved here. But like, look at this energy here. I'll show it to you this way so you can see what I see. It's like the ally in disguise and your superpower, and then Ocean of Emotion. It's almost like it's opening up the full spectrum of light to you, the full spectrum of your own light. Ooh, that's exactly it. Dang, thanks so much, Spirit. Okay. I just need to sit with that for a second. This is beautiful energy down here. Ooh, I just got goosebumps. It's like a jolt and a goosebump at the same time. Oh, that was excellent. Which one? Okay, I'm listening. Muse Tarot. Got it. I was going to pull from the traditional Rider-Waite, but the imagery on this, I just had the kind of like the ping that this is more, the imagery on here is more in alignment with the receptivity of these cards. And anyways, I don't need to justify it. So this is for April 13th. Spirit, can you please give me some information for my wonderful daily creatives moving forwards? Creation energy, and creative energy in service to our highest good today and this week as part of this overarching healing story and inner wound and inner child story. Two of Swords, we're starting with. I'll lay it out and then I'll go over it because I get really wrapped up in the story and it's not bad, but Nine of Cups, beautiful. Also getting, just side note before I move on to the next one, I'm almost getting some like either twin flame vibe off of that, the two colors, the orange and the blue, or the other thing that went through my head is that spectrum of light that becomes accessible to us. And this is a wish fulfillment card, so that would not surprise me at all if that was the case. All right, Spirit, what else you got for me for April 13th from the Creative Collective? So Temperance and the Chariot. So we got Cancer and Sag. Of course we got Sag. And we also have the Muse of Materials. I just think about Sag because of the expansion and the Jupiter energy and just the way that all like comes together and comes together in terms of our own growth, right? I think about it's also ninth house, and that's like personal philosophy. Like, what do you believe about yourself? What do you believe about the world, right? How do those things intertwine together? And the Chariot and the Cancer energy could be fourth house related to family or mother energy. And we also have down here the Queen of Inspiration, so Queen of Wands. I'm going to put this here just so that I don't lose myself in the deck here. Or in the spread, I should say. Let me do this. What else you got for me, Spirit, for April 13th? Thank you for all the wisdom so far. Eight of Pentacles. That's been here every single day this week so far. Page of Pentacles. Four of Pentacles, almost identical spot to yesterday too. This is where I really like how Spirit threads together a story for us, and that's where I love the way that it works through these cards and my energy in terms of a hero's journey. So I'm just very humbled right now. So thank you so much, Spirit. Six of Pentacles. Oh, and I guess I'll show you as well. So we have the Muse of Materials, so that's the Pentacles. And the Muse is an addition to the deck. I originally read it as the Page, but then the Page came out, and that's where the same thing happened here once. So we have both, but yeah. Queen of Inspiration, so that's Queen of Wands. I love that so much. Very Sag energy. 8 of Pentacles. Then I showed you the 6 of Pentacles. Spirit, what's a final card that you've got for me here in this wonderful Hero's Journey spread for April 13th? For my creative collective, please. 10 of Swords. 10 of Wands. Death. Oof. Emperor. Ace of Swords. Beautiful. Okay. I was not going to leave it on the 10 of Swords, and then when the 10 of Wands came out, I was like, shoot. Like, that's a lot. It's heavy energy, but it's also light. I don't know how to explain how I'm reading this. Yeah, I'll get there. I'll get there. Yeah. Thanks so much, Spirit. Okay. So we have the 2 of Swords in the starting position here. So it's almost like there's some kind of indecision about moving towards something that would be truly fulfilling to you. I get the feeling that this is kind of an alchemy card for you where you're turning coal into diamonds is what just went through my mind. Turning coal into diamonds. And then I don't think people expected you to do it. It's almost like there's like a shock in the look on the face of this person here. Like, you know, this sort of sense of awe and shock about the balance that you're reaching and the forward movement that facilitates. And also I think the forward movement from this to me is also, it's forward movement, but it can also just be expansion, right? Sagittarius is expansion. That's the Jupiter energy of Sag. I think the other thing to consider too is that there's 2 ways of handling things here. There's 2 ways of handling a lot, right? I get the Chariot where it's like a command of the energy around you, and then the 8 of Pentacles, which is the same, but one looks decidedly more exhausting than the other, right? And I know that the 8 of Pentacles doesn't necessarily mean that, but the way I'm reading these cards intuitively is that there's a way, major arcana way, which is foundational energy to me, foundational to your energy and the messages coming through. The major arcana of the Chariot tells me that there's a way that you need to take command and take charge of your energy so that it's moving more like a flow. Like you're just holding on loosely to these things here as opposed to holding on tightly and having to have your hand in everything here. Right? So one is grasping so tightly, and that's I think what you need to balance. Because the call is really this 9 of Cups is kind of ringing you up. It's ringing up your energy, right? And not ringing up in a bad way. It's calling you. It's calling you. And I feel like there's something here that you didn't expect about it. You didn't really expect that to happen. And this to me can be, an imbalance for sure. It can be stuck energy, but I'm reading it really as something that was unexpected. Given the pages, this could be messages that are coming through that you aren't really expecting. I mean, this position, it's technically like this, and then this goes here, but because it goes across, I just moved it slightly. This position in this spread is the things that can become a tower if they're not addressed, and that it's a muse. I think of it as still page energy in terms of a messenger, but I think this is an internal messenger, a 5D messenger. And I almost feel like there's a call, like you need to go towards this emotional fulfillment. You need to go towards, like, once you heal and once you do the work, then what? Then what happens, right? Then once you hit the 10 of Pentacles, then what happens? When you hit that 4 of Swords, then what? And I think this is the answer to that question is if you ignore this call to a 9 of Cups, wish fulfillment, internal, I feel like it's an emotional and internal alignment of epic proportions where you've been showing up as the magician for much of this week. And I think that what this is saying is you have to answer the call, and that is going to be made. It's going to come through emotions, and you have to be willing to go on that, right? That's where, look at all the life that's on the other side of this. And I think this Two of Swords is very interesting because it's almost like these internal thoughts and confusion then turn to these 5D selves, these wise selves, right? These wise selves that are opening you up. And I think it's opening you up to not only passion, but it's opening you up to a renewed way of seeing what is important to you and how you've been working at it. This is very broad. Like, I mean, this can apply to creative projects. This can apply to personal work. This can apply to the way that you work. This can be a process, right? Because this is bridge energy. So this could be just a process that you've been going through, that you've had to really reevaluate the way that you're doing work. This can also represent burning the candle at both ends. And it can represent toxic positivity. Toxic productivity, possibly also toxic productivity and positivity, like feeling that toxic positivity about it. Because if you're exhausted and you're like, I'm actually the happiest that I've ever been, I'm like, let's unpack the bags under your eyes and then we'll talk. Like, that sounds horrible. I don't know if that sounds bad, but sometimes I feel like when I'm super tired, you can see it under my eyes. The light is gone. Like the things that hold up the light in my eyes have disappeared. And I experienced that after I graduated. There's pictures of that time, and I look back, even on my art page on Instagram, and I'm like, dang, I look so tired. Like, so tired. Like, I haven't slept since the beginning of time itself. Like, so this is where I think that energy may be connected to the Chariot. Again, two different ways of working, right? Two different ways of working. One is manifesting from within out. The other one is 3D, 5D manifesting. And this is the Magician energy again. It's like 5D manifesting, where your manifestations are coming true and coming, not coming true, but coming to life, coming to the fore. They're concretizing in the real world. And the Eight of Pentacles is this representation of how you can balance that and balance your work, right? It's how you can balance your work. But the rest of it is just like, it almost looks like you're dancing. It almost looks like a dance that you're doing. And you have a command of it so well. And yesterday had a dance with the universe type card too. So it's almost like this process that you're undertaking, connected to recognizing your emotions, is very affected and at the heart of the way that you're doing work. I think about the Queen of Wands in this sense. I'm reading from it that it's not so much passion or inspiration as much as it is fire as a creative energy and will, right? Like, it is an intuitively connected energy that is about knowing worth and it's like fire is an energy, right? Water, all of the elements are a form of energy, but I feel like fire is a particularly connected energy. I feel like it's a particularly connected energy because it's not that it doesn't need to, emotions don't necessarily apply quite the same in the way that I'm reading this energy, is where I think I mentioned yesterday that water signs are often viewed as the intuitive ones, but I see fire signs as very intuitive in terms of knowing your worth. And fire is really essential to life, right? Like, that's how I have them here as candles, but like, if you think about it, we, require fire to cook. That channeling of us channeling that fire energy into homes and into stoves and into fireplaces, into furnaces. All of this is channeling fire, light bulbs, electricity, fire, lightning, fire, right? Like, all of these things, we're channeling this energy. And I think that's where I'm seeing this, is that you're channeling this raw energy of your emotion, but it's becoming something. It's becoming something that is essential to the way that you work. It's becoming essential to the way that you work. And I feel like this page here is someone that is going to remind you of this. I get this as a message that's coming in from somebody. I don't think it's substantial communication. I'm not reading it from that. But I feel like it's going to kind of get you in your head a little bit, but also kind of get you, oh my gosh, I just heard get you in the bank account. And when I think about that, I don't think about somebody coming in related to bank accounts specifically. I'm thinking about somebody that's related. This to me is more related to someone coming in and trying to get in your head about what you value. about what you're worth. You know, I read something, actually, I'm in the midst of reading it right now. I will show it to you. It's right here. I am finishing this book by Deepak Chopra, Abundance, The Inner Path to Wealth. Oh, you can see my little lamp in there. But this book is excellent. And one of the things that it talked about is that energy, like money is an energy. We know this. But one of the things that it talked about was that you value yourself at times to the extent that people pay you in a way that reflects your value to them. Right? And we know that that's an ego identification. We know this. But it doesn't make it any less crappy when you think about how much you bring to a specific place, like to a specific environment. And you're taking a step back and going, whoa, 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 I don't know if I want to invest in this. And I almost get this as like a fast moving thorn. Like, I don't think it's not something, it's going to be something that reminds you of your value, but not in the way that you may think. Right? So I'm just getting that energy off of this. Because this is really the withholding energy. It's kind of a stuck energy. In the traditional Rider-Waite, it's often thought of as like miser energy. But what I'm getting from this card in particular in this energy is you holding your value close to your chest. Like it's like you're playing a card close to your chest, right? Because you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. Why am I going to participate in this game? And game of life, not necessarily strategizing and manipulation, but like, why am I going to participate in this game when I'm not seeing reflected back to me the kind of things that tell me that you value and cherish what I bring? And this can be a creative project. This can be a contract. This can be a job. This can be a relationship. I'm not seeing enough here to suggest relationship. Like there's a lot of pentacle energy. Like we've got a lot of pentacle energy. I mean, we do have the 9 of Cups and the Ace of Swords, but other than that, it's like wands and pentacles all the way, like all day, every day. Like it's, So I'm seeing with all of this that it's most likely work related for you. And I feel like there's something that you're coming to understand that is bringing you into balance about this. So the 6 of Pentacles is here as well. And I think that in this energy in particular, what you're finding is it's bringing you a sense of peace. You're finding the one thing. There's a book called The One Thing. I forget the author's name, but one of the things that I really pulled from that book, well, you can see the wire from my microphone. Oh my gosh, the magic happens off screen, right? So the joys of live-ish. The one thing here is like you're realizing the one thing about you that's going to give birth to all of these other projects, to all of these other energies. You're realizing this one thing that you're made of as much as you see in the world. And you're realizing that it's like you have this garden that's available to you now. Here, I'll show you. Oops, a little closer. It's all roses. It's all roses. Right? It's all roses. So it's almost like this overflow, this rich overflow that comes from this balanced perspective that you take. And it's one that you hold maybe close to your chest. But this, I think that when you come into this balance and out of this 4 of Pentacles place, look at what starts to happen. 10 of Swords, done with the cycle, over it, just over it. So you're this is the mental confusion that may have been taking place here, right? You're just over it. You're done. And you put the burdens down and you set the baggage down that may have manifested through in your life. So you're like, nope, I'm actually officially so done with this. And from that point, you get the Death card, and that's the transformation energy from yesterday. So all of this is so deeply connected. And I love, love, love when this happens in these spreads. So I think that this is part of the transformation, right? So don't doubt yourself, my creatives. Don't doubt yourself. Because the Emperor and the Ace of Swords are here to say it's either Aries season, so it's go time. But I also feel like this is your energy, your Emperor energy, your creativepreneur energy, your YouTubepreneur, your, entrepreneur energy, your whatever it is, -preneur energy, 2424 on the time. And that's your truth. That's the truth. You're standing in the truth of your own power because you realize, I think, that when you start to look outside of yourself or you get confused, about what people are offering you and what you know to be true. It's almost like this page is offering one rose and you have four, and there's a bigger one behind you, and you're just like, why am I responding to what? Right? It's like, I'm sorry, you've selected the, the extended package and you're paying for the basic. Like it doesn't make sense, right? You're like, make it make sense. And part of the bridging energy here is you with this wisdom integrated into you in your 5D self already, right? So it's like you have the pentacle already, like you're already the page. So why are you going to take that? And it's not so much breadcrumbing, right? I mean, breadcrumbing certainly is much more dramatic sounding. But I think sometimes people show up at our doorstep because we're used to accepting just anything. We're used to accepting not just lesser standards of behavior, but also lesser offers, right? Like when people show up, and it's not saying that people have to like, I've seen it online, come correct, right? Like it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. But if you've taken that before, you're like, well, there's a history hanging over my head, but I've got these four pentacles, four flowers that I'm nurturing. And I really like them. Like they're mine. I grew them in my garden. And this person's, and so I could take that metaphor further, but like, this is what I'm seeing is this, you step into this Emperor energy, which I think also showed up yesterday when I clarified the cards. But this Ace of Swords is like, yep, that's your truth. And when you stand in the truth of your worth, so much more becomes accessible to you. And that, I think, is the ally in disguise here. And that's where your superpower starts to come to the fore, right? Like almost look at the hair in the person here, and then this discover your superpower. It's like it's really becoming a thing. Like it's you. It's almost like this is what's you're starting to realize this is happening in your head, right? You're coming to understand your superpower and your truth. And that's the ally in disguise. And when we look at the ocean of emotion, the 9 of Pentacles strikes me as the ocean of emotion for sure. And then you've won the lottery, right? So it's like, it's almost like these flip sides to things, like turning coal into diamonds is a really tough energy because it means that there's been an immense pressure. It means that there's been an immense and sometimes intense stress, right? Like a lot of stress. And when it comes to the way that this energy is flowing for you, the way that all of this is flowing for you, because it is flowing, right? It's an ocean of emotion. You're on an ocean. I'm just getting this wave energy, like you're almost like you're on a boat, like it's a 6 of Swords energy. You're leaving it behind, right? You're just leaving it behind. But not in a way that's like, I'm going to make a tower for someone. You're just like, no, it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. And you realize that you are worth it. And this to me says that the world around you starts to mirror that back to you. That the world around you starts to mirror your worth back to you, which like, don't wait for that. But that's sort of like these little confirmations. Like, it's one thing to recognize your worth. It's entirely another to have people say, well, I'm going to pay you for that. I don't want you to do that for free. And you're like, oh, I didn't think about it that way. Right? I have a friend and I'm looking over grant applications for him. And we're going over some things because he wants to work on a nonprofit. So I'm helping him with that, and he's paying me. I didn't expect him to. I just like doing that, right? Like I like helping nonprofits and nonprofit organizations and their missions and all of that stuff. So I was just going to do it for him, but he was like, "No, I'll pay you." And that's where I feel like the world starts to mirror back to you that you have value and what you have to offer is very important. And that's where it's like you can't rely on that mirror, but it's almost like it mirrored something else to you already, right? It mirrored something else to you already. And then your 5D self is like, whoa, 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 whoa. Here's the bridge. Take the bridge. Let's go from confusion and stuck to flow and receptivity and really letting things in. Because that's where inspiration is. That's where you're passionate. That's where your fuel is. That's where your creative energy is. That's where your sensuality is. All of it is in that space. But I'm just getting big mirroring energy on this. And I think that it's because you've just expected the world to mirror back specific things to you. So, and I think too that our beliefs can do that to us as well, right? Like if we say, well, I don't deserve love, that's manifesting. And that I think in this sense is what I'm thinking about with the mirroring energy. Like It's like the world is reflecting back to you your beliefs about it. So make sure that those beliefs are in service to your good. It is hard, I know, with systems and things like that. And we have to, I think part of shadow work is really processing the systems so that we can then make the best choices for ourselves within them, right? And understanding that there's a balance and a compassion that we have to bring to the choices that we can, that we may or may not be able to make, right? So for me, this energy is very much about you liberating yourself. It's like a deep knowing. The death card is no joke. There's the death card and the emperor, which is like this transformation from this disempowered two of swords energy into and through the emperor, because that's true for you. That's the truth of who you are. You know what I mean? And I think the chariot and the balance of the Sag energy here, this is like an expansion for you, right? This is how I see this Jupiter Sag energy shit, more reflecting here, like more mirroring. So that's 4 cards where there's reflecting and mirrors now. Muse of Pentacles, 2 of Swords, 6 of Pentacles, Temperance. So this, to me, I see the full moon here. So I'm wondering if this is something to release during the full moon. Releasing the way that you've done projects, the way that you've done things before. But I think that this can be, if you make it into some kind of ritual for yourself, it allows you to mark a ceremonial end. And when that happens, that also allows us to grieve as well. And I think that that is where liberation can really take place from a situation, because I think we have to grieve the part of us, the what might have been, right? We have to grieve the what could have been, what might have been. If we feel that we've missed out on something, we have to grieve that. We can't just say, oh, I'm done with that. Sometimes you just have to cry. Like, as much as I don't, like, I don't know. I'm not horrible with crying. I'm not like that, really. I think for me, tears have always been like a baptism from within. Certainly, I don't feel comfortable crying in public. I feel very awkward doing so. I don't know. It's just a weird thing. Like, it's not, I respond appropriately to when other people do, but I feel like it's a very vulnerable thing. And, you know, growing up, it was more so like, I'll give you something to cry about kind of energy, where it's like tears were not rewarded necessarily. So not that they need to be, but they weren't always met with the, come here, sweetheart, let me hold you. What's wrong? It was more so an inconvenience, but that's reflective too of the energy of people around me. So I don't think back with like contempt for my parents or anything like that, right? I know my dad had he had me when he was 22. When I was 22, I was like, I can't imagine the responsibility and how different, right? So it's like, it's a lot, seeing it through compassionate eyes is really what it's about. But don't be afraid to cry through this. Let yourself grieve. And that's where I think these rituals really help in terms of letting go. And I don't know why. It's just with the Death card and the 10 of Swords and the 10 of Wands. I just really feel this, like I'm feeling this release around the solar plexus area. And for those that this resonates for, it might be good to do that, and just to let yourself cry. To let yourself cry. And maybe also tears of joy too. Tears of joy that you're here. Because I feel like this is an arrival as much as it is a departure from an old way of thinking and doing things. You're arriving, my love. I just heard the voice, jeez. I was looking at the Ace of Voices when I said that, so I read voice and said it. Spirit just said to me that, and on the train platform, there will be 10,000 angels supporting you. That would not shock me if that card came out this week. It's a card in this deck. But that idea that, like, at that train station, your arrival, you know, you departed one and you're arriving at another. And isn't that just the most beautiful part of a hero's journey anyway, right? So good. So freaking good. Okay. Traditional Rider-Waite Tarot. To clarify points in this reading and to move on forward. Spirit, can I please get some clarification here for my daily creatives for April 13th, please? And the light just went out. Oh my gosh. Maybe you are the light. Queen of Pentacles. This light has continued to go off so much through so many of these readings. Hilarious. Spirit, can I get some more clarification here? And also, in future, for my wonderful daily creatives, at this point, I would probably turn this into an extended. I'm looking at different ways to make this sustainable for myself and to grow on YouTube. And so I'm looking at doing that, not for a while yet. So you've got plenty of time, and there will still be loads of free content on this page. So have no fear, my darlings, none at all. But nonetheless, let's dive back into this here. I just wanted to tell you that so that you weren't, taken aback and like, if it happens. I'm still going to have a good chunk of this. You're going to have like 30 minutes or so of a reading or more now, but it'll be, you'll still have some really good stuff. So don't worry about that. So Queen of Pentacles. So it's almost like this Six of Pentacles is you coming back into balance, and then bam, you're like right there. You're like, yep, you're in this really beautifully established energy for yourself. And I think this is an energy for yourself that you're stepping into. Yeah. I think that, it is. So this was on the split. I split it apart, and then Justice and Four of Cups. So I almost feel like this was a real sense of this. Oh, Chariot came out again. This was a real sense of you. Almost, I'm hearing maturing. And that's where I feel like I just heard angelic celebration. Yeah, angelic celebration. New contracts. This could be love coming in because of this. This could be marriage, that kind of thing. So that's really beautiful energy. So we got the Chariot when I pulled for the Two of Swords, Page of Pentacles, Four of Pentacles. The Chariot came through, which tells me that this is what's going to help you move through, right? The celebration is the moving away from the anxiety about this, the overthinking, the worry, rumination too. Oof, I'm hearing rumination big time. Yeah. And I think when you do leave it, I think that love comes in faster than you think, based on the Chariot here. Could be a Cancer. They could have Cancer placements, Cancer in Venus. Yeah, more moon energy, more Cancer energy. Oh, good times. And I think that you have an idea of who this might be. This love and relationship coming in when you depart from a situation or when you leave this way of thinking behind. I get the feeling that you know. And this is beautiful because this is kind of almost like a meditative state where you're accessing your 5D self or your 5D selves, your cosmic support system. And, as you take these steps away in that Cups energy, right? Your High Priestess is here to say, well, darling, you're right on the right track, A, and B, you know exactly who's coming in. You know exactly what love is coming in because you've been connected. Your emotions are really so profoundly connected to your intuition. It's really hard to disconnect them, right? Like, what's important. You know what's coming because of how it feels. Yeah, you know how it feels, right? Why would you turn away the Ace of Cups? Well, it may not feel like you want it to. It may not feel right. And this is more Wands energy. So this is forward movement. Could be travel as well, as a side note. But and the Chariot represents travel as well. So Chariot showing up twice is short distance. Why am I thinking short-term travel? Oh my gosh, my brain is just having a little bit of a fritz right now. It's travel that isn't very far away. It's annoying me that I can't think of it. Oh my gosh. Don't take words away from an Aquarian with Gemini rising. But I think this here is just like some short distance travel. It could be that it could be that it's like a trip somewhere that's going to connect you with the right people, those Three of Cups, right? And it's going to be that celebration energy. It's going to be that energy of coming back into yourself. Spirit, can I get some clarification on this Temperance, Chariot, and Queen of Wands? It could be past life related, Six of Cups. It could also just be that return to an innocent time, right? Because I feel like this return to an innocent time, something happened that took the innocent time away. Something happened that took, that kind of sent you into a tailspin. And there could be a fire sign, yeah, Sag is here in Temperance, and then also the Queen of Wands, fire. So it could be a fire sign, Sagittarius or Cancer, that's coming in. It could be a Sag or a Cancer that kind of you found yourself in this place after dealing with them. But I think this is more you than anyone outside of you. I'm getting from this Six of Cups that there's it could be someone from your past as well. There's just been past life energy in the readings this week, a chunk. So I tend to liken it to past life. It's sort of a continued storyline. It could also just be someone from, and I almost get that this is like you moving through a past version of your life. Like, this is who you used to be. Yeah. Six of Swords. This is who you used to be. And I feel like, in a way, this can also represent moving. So this could be moving physically. This could be moving more mentally away. The other way that I just got an interpretation of this card intuitively is that this could be a kind of I'm thinking like moving emotions, but the way I'm looking at it is that you're pulling yourself back from them such that you can float on them, like the observer, right? Being the witness to your feelings and emotions, so that you're not overcome by them, so that you're not in an Eight of Wands, or that was on the bottom, Five of Pentacles about them, right? Or Four of Cups. So it's sort of like a liberation from that. And that's sort of, I'm getting that that's like a byproduct. Like, it wasn't the expected result. Yeah, Saturn. It's almost like a byproduct of what happened. And it's definite clarity for you, Queen of Wands. Spirit, can you clarify this Eight of Pentacles here in terms of the two ways that we can work on projects? Wheel of Fortune. Yeah, it's an expansion. This is you expanding into a new way of doing things for yourself, either in love or in relationship. It's you expanding, right? Two ways of doing things. Neither are right or wrong. One of them just requires more effort, and it depends on what is important to you in terms of how you do it. They both get the job done, but one leads the pack and the other has to have their hand in every pot, this strikes me as very Virgo energy. Not to say that Virgos, there's no shadow here, right? Like, I'm not talking about this in terms of like Virgos are bad. No, it's not like that. This is just saying that there's an energy here of it strikes me as more demanding. I would find this energy exhausting. Some people do it flawlessly, right? I'm more sea turtle leadership, right? Let them swim and figure out how to swim. Guide along the way if needed be, but most of them will come back to you anyway. That sounds really twisted in the way that it sounds better in my head the way I understand it, right? Like, sea turtle leadership in terms of like, people have to figure out how to swim on their own. You can't make them swim. Giving people water wings is the best you can do. So like maybe water wings, sea turtling. But that's where this expansion is taking place for you, I think, is realizing that you have the capacity. You had it in you all along. This is also potential. This is like Piscean energy too, though the wheel does represent Jupiter. It had, connections to the 12th house in Pisces originally. So I think that this energy that you're surfing, is really like, I just heard you'll have it all and then some. And that's like, Jupiter is 9th house and Sagittarian energy, and Sagittarius is here already. So this to me is like a new renewed outlook on life. 433 on the time. 4333, sorry. I think this is like, this Jupiter energy is a renewed outlook on life after the Saturn lessons, after this time of integrating some perhaps tricky energy, but tricky only in the sense that you had to make a decision about what to do. Tower on the bottom. Yeah, like you had to make a decision about what to do. Something forced your hand. It could have been another person. It could have been some conflict, gossip, drama, garbage. Ugh. The older that I get, the more tired I am of that stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. The deck is like, I know. I think that when it comes to this spread, the star to me doesn't just refer to what I was talking about, but what I'm talking about here is more so that this is a completion of sorts. Like, you're really putting down the burden of the 10 of Wands with this, and you're also putting down the mental exhaustion of the 10 of Swords with this. I'm going to put this right here. And I think that that's you kind of stepping into your own and away from, right? In this sense, I almost see the Knight of Wands as being an energy that you're moving away from. That's momentum away from conflict. It's momentum away from, just the excess, this is like having a million ideas and not knowing where to start, right? I think about the way that this feels in my brain when my ADHD is like in a flare and I'm like spinning, trying to do all the things, but none of the things happen. So I feel like this is you pulling away from that energy and knowing what to focus on and what to put your energy on. Why? Because you've figured out the secret here. You've figured out the secret. And it's not in vision boards. It's not in anything else. It's in you remembering how much you're worth. If I can get this straight. It doesn't want me to see the Page of Pentacles. This comes from your worth, right? Which is really profound and really healing energy. It is. And I think that's what the star is here to remind you of, is that you are healing. I get this very beautiful, like, nurturing energy with the abundance of the Chariot here. I almost feel like this could be you kind of reparenting this inner child self that may have been so used to conflict around what you wanted, right? Like what you wanted may have come across as, conflicting priorities for people, or it just, I feel like it's really, the right offers are going to come through now. Which, this is like a twin flame card. I get the feeling that this is a little bit of, I think, a little bit of love, but also I think a little bit of collaboration creatively too, right? And it happens. Oh, and there's a Knight of Pentacles in here as well. Oh, well, look at you. Going from Page energy to Knight energy. So the Page and the Four of Wands came out, Page of Pentacles and the Four of Wands, which to me is like, new things are going to open up to you. The Four of Wands represents relationship. It represents marriage. It also represents like contracts and new cycles, which is apropos given the endings that we're seeing here. 10 of Swords, 10 of Wands, Wheel of Fortune, the World. Lots of cycles that are coming to a close. So that it would only make sense then that new would come into its place in the presence of the star after you really get it about your own, your value, your Six of Pentacles, your Queen of Pentacles, right? It would make sense that once your High Priestess really integrated and worked with, I'm getting like you working with your High Priestess now to move out of this Two of Swords energy, because the Two of Swords is where you started. So it's like you're working with your High Priestess and your intuition to pull out of this habit and out of this pattern. And then the Knight of Pentacles is able to show up slow and steady, but really in it for the long haul. That could be a person. That can also be a job, right? This could be a job that you stay at for the long haul. With the World and the Wheel of Fortune, this could be a relationship. This could be marriage, right? The long haul, marriage, which makes marriage sound so like drab and boring when really it's not. It's not, it's what you make of it, really. But I'm almost just getting that this Knight of Pentacles is like, it's also that the Knight of Pentacles is kind of like, I'm hearing fearlessly facing these ending of these cycles, which means that you're able to almost look at yourself and the work that you've put in. That was on the split. You're almost able to look at the work that you've put in to understand, to really understand, not just where you want to go and manifesting that, but also looking for the ally in disguise and finding your superpower in this, which is so important. And I think the Ocean of Emotion is the healing energy here, right? And then you're like, well, actually, I had it in me all along. I had all of this all along. And I think it's one of those things where when I was younger, I used to have this thing, like, and when I was younger, meaning like kid, like when I was in the single digits of my life, I remember having these dreams and I would wake up from the dream and I would remember realizing that I didn't have to get up. And I remember feeling the most bliss that I could just sink into my bed, my little tiny twin bed, and just like, oh, I was tucked in the sheets and I was so happy. And it was like such a simple joy, But I feel like that's what this You've Won the Lottery is about, is like that simple joy, that bliss. You're like, oh, after this realization, right? After this very subtle realization, but you're like, oh, I'm actually way better than I thought. Amazing. amazing. And then you go back to, you're just like, you're back into your own energy. Spirit, can I get some clarification on the world, this Saturn energy amidst the Cancerian, Sagittarian, and fire energy, and the Six of Swords and Cups? Please and thank you. Seven of Pentacles and the Sun. I almost feel like you have this sense or this feeling that your happiness has taken too long. Like it's taken too long to get here, so you may not trust it when it gets here because you feel a little bit like, well, what took so long? Like, was this really all that I had to do? That's ridiculous. Like, I was manifesting really hard before, so what? And it's almost like it's not trusting it in a way that will make you pass up an opportunity. Like, so don't get any FOMO. But I think it's also, too, a recognition that you've done enough work. Like, you've done enough work. Don't turn your back on your happiness because you think you have to do more work that you don't need to do, right? 50-50 was on the time. You've done enough. I, however, apparently need to work on my shuffle. Holy. Spirit, can I get some clarification on this Jupiter Wheel of Fortune energy, please? Thank you so much. Two of Wands. So you're planning. This gives you, I love this energy. It just, the rush of it is like, it's giving you the freedom to plan for something that you really want. Yeah, the Emperor. Bah, I love it when it does this. Oh my gosh. Okay, so the Emperor's right here. And the rush of energy that I felt was you coming back into your own, right? Where was it? It was on the bottom. It's you. And 10 of Cups, come on. This is why it feels so good, is it's attracting in this energy. The King of Pentacles was on the bottom of the deck. But this like planning, this Jupiter energy, this ending of a cycle allows you this, and let's say cycle just in terms of ending of another opportunity to heal something that needed to be healed that was not addressed before. When you heal it, or you open the gateway to healing such that you can do that in an everyday way that isn't disruptive to the functioning of your life, right? And disruptive meaning like sometimes we get into relationships that really take it out of us because we haven't figured out a certain thing yet that we need to know about our worth. Sometimes we take jobs. I took a job at a nonprofit in Toronto, and I will tell you, I made $25,000 less than what the average minimum salary was for that job. I asked if the terms of it were negotiable, and the guy said no. The ED said no. I shouldn't say guy. That's a gendered thing. But like the ED said it wasn't. So it was like, what? And I felt like, that really impacted my ability and my ability to trust in what I was worth. And what I'm seeing, this was like years ago, so it's not recent at all. But like, they talk about like, oh, let's pay marginalized communities more and, all of this stuff. And it's like, well, they weren't walking the talk, which also put me at kind of a distance with values that they were saying that were true for them that really aren't. Because of the way that they treated it. And like, I wasn't even paid on time. I'm done spilling tea about that. But like, you get those jobs where you're like, you take them because you think it's this amazing thing, but you haven't integrated the Jupiter expansion after the Saturn lessons, right? I took that job when I was in a Saturn return too. So keep that in mind, right? Sometimes we go through these lessons because we haven't picked up what we need to know yet. And, not every lesson is the same. No. And I'm not suggesting that people who experience violence, they're just learning things. No, because I've experienced violence too. I was nearly murdered. Like, real talk. I get it. I understand how people might say, well, that's, let's not blanket statement that. That's a whole other thing, okay? What I'm talking about here. And also, if you've experienced abuse at all, don't turn that inward on you, right? That's not a karmic lesson. That's somebody who made choices to harm you in specific ways. And I'm very sorry that happened. If you're watching and you're thinking to yourself, well, what the F? Like, no, my dear. No, that's not what this is about. That's not what I'm reading from this. I think that this is lessons that we had to learn in largely smaller ways. Like I see a chunk of major arcana here, but the part that is value, that you're recognizing the value in you, all minor arcana. I think that the major arcana is here to say these are the big ways that this is showing up, but it's all minor arcana otherwise. And I think that when you get it about this lesson in particular, you start to plan and manifest in a way that is integrated with what it just, I feel like everything clicks. Like I'm just hearing this like clicking sound, like not clicking like a mouse, but like clicking like parts together. Like it just fits, right? And I think that when you come from that place where you can find things that just fit, you will be able to recognize them when they show up. And I think that's exactly what happens when commitment of some kind shows up at your door in the form of a relationship. But this could also represent you being free enough energetically. And this, like I said, I mentioned the job thing. And I think that that is, it can be a creative project when the right opportunity, when the right contract, when the right person shows up at your door, you're able to say yes to your 10 of Cups. Because you're not doubting whether you're worth it. You're not doubting whether it's something that is like valuable to you, because you know it's important. And you can just lean into the 10 of Cups feeling, right? So that, my dears, is beautiful energy. This is all about knowing your worth today. To cap off this reading, I'm going to pull from the Miracles Now deck by Gabrielle Bernstein. Spirit, can I get some messages just to close out this beautiful and delicious value energy reading for how we value ourselves? Woo. When in doubt, I choose to see peace. That's definitely a way that you can, like, to me at least, it's a way that you can integrate this wisdom of worth and value and how we value ourselves, but also how we allow others to value us, right? Sometimes, if, for example, I use the example of my friend who said he wanted to pay for the work that I was going to do for him. He could choose not to. I could have chosen to say, no, not at all. No. And that is letting other people value you, right? But I said yes to it because it's like, of course, that is something that's really valuable. And it's also just smaller contracts that I've gotten before, like your work and the knowledge that you have, your Saturn returns and Saturn lessons and Chiron lessons are not just for your benefit, right? If they can help other people and you have knowledge to share, entrepreneurs are entrepreneurs because they have knowledge that people value enough to pay for. And I feel like with creatives, especially, that's true, right? Creatives are some of the most incredible alchemists that I have ever met in my life. And I think that that's true for you here. I think that this is becoming more apparent to you. Before we go with the notes from the Universe on Love and Connection, I'm going to pull some chakra cards because I've just been doing that this week. It's felt quite good and very much connected. So, Spirit, can you give me some messages related to worth here from my creative collective? Compassion. I see all things through eyes of love in my heart, right? So eyes of love. I choose to see peace, right? I see all things through eyes of love in my heart. I find compassion and understanding for those who are struggling and misaligned with themselves, their higher wisdom and purpose. I am kind and compassionate with myself and others and forgive myself for my judgments. I am compassionate. Big, huge energy here. This is where it's like letting yourself off the hook and feeling it. Don't be afraid to grieve, because I think that those, like, the diamonds come from coal. Yeah, forgiveness. I think that this is important, this compassionate approach to yourself. Spirit, can I please get some messages for April 13th from this chakra deck for the Creative Collective? Self-love is the greatest gift of all. You are a unique expression of the divine. Know that you are connected to all that is. Let love, peace, and tranquility penetrate through your being into the world and watch as it is reflected back at you. You are love. I shit you not, Creative Collective. Let love, peace, and tranquility penetrate through your being into the world and watch as it is reflected back to you. Yeah, this is about self-love and value. Because it's really hard to see value in yourself if there's no love there, right? connection. I recognize the interconnectedness of all life. What I just got from this is that you're seeing the reflection of self-love in the world coming back to you, like all of those things. It's all information, right? We have to watch when we think about mirrors, because when we as empaths encounter people like narcissists or narcissistic energy, what sometimes happens is we see that as a reflection of our worth, and that's not true. That's a totally different energy entirely, like completely. But this connectedness, right? I recognize the interconnectedness of all life. I honor my connection to all that is. I embody universal love. I am worthy of God's unconditional love. I am open to new connections and possibilities as I explore the gift of consciousness. I am always connected. I feel like this is where it's like you're going to see the mirror. You're going to see the mirror in life around you. Letting go. I release repressed or trapped emotions and their associated beliefs with ease and grace. Where appropriate, I let go of those people and situations that perpetuate hurt and unease. I release my investment in staying safe and stuck. I surrender, trust, and allow the light to guide me. I release. That grieving process, I feel, is going to be quite important. And you don't have to go through a grieving thing, but sometimes, like, so my grandfather, we kind of closeted in it, but there's some Jewishness there. He came from, like, he immigrated from Germany before World War II. And with the last name Stein, there were a lot of, like, my mom encountered so much anti-Semitism, and, like, blatantly so. But one of the things that, from that culture that I've, like, that I guess, like, it's come through for me a couple different times and in a couple different ways, but that the sitting Shiva, right? And it is quite, it's very religious for Jewish folks, but, what I take from it now is that there's a way we can sit with others and ourselves through this grieving process. And it's almost like we have to really, when we let go, it's not just a release, like, it's done. It's like, how do I feel about it? Do I feel loss? Do I feel joy? Am I focusing exclusively on joy and bypassing the loss? Right? You don't want to put the express lane on what is a natural emotional process. Coals into diamonds. That's why I'm mentioning this, because I feel like it's showing up in the cards. But I think that you have to make peace with that process in order to make peace with yourself, right? And that's big energy on this reading today. So I just love how much value is here. You're seeing your worth. I had this amazing dream. And I realized that, like, it's not about that person seeing, like, I had a dream, and one of the folks on here that I see as a teacher, I had a dream within a dream, which is like some Inception shit right there. But I had, like, a dream within the dream that I was talking to this person, and it was like, this idea of worth. Like, I woke up and I'm like, yeah, I'm worthy. I'm worthy. And it wasn't because that person gave that to me. It was because they reflected to me in a dream, reflection, right? They reflected to me in the dream that I am worthy. And it's something I have struggled to really believe about myself. I'm not going to pull any punches on that. Like, I've really, it's something I've definitely struggled with. And it's like stepping into that way more now. Like, I mean, beyond what I thought was possible. And I think that that's how I can see this coming through here, and why the energy I'm so excited for whoever this resonates for, because this is something that I've done as well. Like, it's something that we all have to, but yeah, this is beautiful. So I'm going to pull some notes from the universe on love and connection, that deck by Mike Dooley. Spirit, can I get some messages for my creative collective to close out this reading for April 13th, please? And thank you. You have more options than you realize. Yes, you do. You are not stuck. What if one of the, so I'm not reading from the back when I say this, but I'm just thinking, like, when you have no option, when you feel like you have no options, and this is not talking about systemic stuff. I'm talking more about, for me, it's about related to mental, like, patterns and things that I think about myself, right? If I feel like I'm backed into a corner about what to do, how often do you choose? What would happen if you chose yourself? What if you were an option, right? What if you were an option here? Not as in an option to someone else. I'm talking about you and your strength. What if something in you was an option for you, right? It sure is hard to get really angry at someone when you can think of all the reasons you love them. And you can, the universe. That could be some forgiveness for yourself that you've got to be working on too. That you have options is meaningful. This came out on the split. That you have options is meaningful. If I could make just 2 wishes, I'd wish I could somehow convey to you the profound depths of my gratitude for every moment of your life. I'd also wish that you could somehow know of your unimaginable importance, just as you now are, to the lives of so very many. And, of course, I'd wish for even more wishes. Oh, shoot. You were such a good idea, the universe. You were such a good idea. Think about that and meditate on that. That's a great meditation. I might tear up because that's really beautiful. You were such a good idea. Have you considered that? You were such a good idea. Okay, my daily creatives, I will leave it here. But if you like this and it resonates in any way, feel free to like and subscribe. It helps me to grow the channel, and it's free for you to do. It's a free way to help me. And I feel like I'm so humbled to be able to do this, and I'm really grateful to be able to do it too, just to act as a channel for wisdom and to have chats with spirit for you to consume in the morning or at any point in your day. So if you would like to connect in ways beyond the daily readings, there are also many different variations of readings and ways to connect throughout the channel. I've connected them and put them all into playlists for you so that you can easily navigate the content. But if this is where I leave you, my daily creative, I hope you have my daily creatives, I should say, and multiples of you watching. I hope that you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or night, wherever this finds you on the time-space continuum. In that note, on that note, in that vein, on that note, have a good one.